no doubt going to be a brilliant night of action. What do you mean I need to pick a car? Why do I need to pick a car? We're spectating, are we not?
Yeah, but there's like some sort of crash bug, apparently.
Oh.
I haven't experienced it yet.
I was going to say, I haven't
already
experienced
commentated
it.
3 times on this game, but here we are.
Yes.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay, fine, you don't.
Oh, apparently I don't. Well, this is the most chaotic start to a stream I think we've ever had.
Could be worse.
This is true. It definitely could be worse. But now that I've put my Discord in Do Not Disturb mode, we can finally talk a little bit about what we have got going on tonight. It's qualifying night. It's arguably one of the most exciting nights of the season. 21 teams going for PC this season, and well,
it's been reduced down to 18 teams actually. 3 more pulled out apparently. So that means only 18 remain. I do not know which 3 teams pulled out, but what I can tell you is that the first lobby only had 2 teams driving around. Those were TRT and VNT. And their average lap time was a 1 minute 11.277 for VNT and a 1 minute 11.357 for TRT. So yeah, they've set their lap times. They have definitely set a bar for the other teams. And now we're off for the other 5.5 teams because QVR has got 1 member missing. The other 5 are SET, UFRT, EVR, IRT, and YRG in this second lobby.
Yes, and we've got a pretty interesting one. How on earth? I put my thing... Oh, I didn't put it into Do Not Disturb. It somehow has gone into idle. That's not very useful, is it? So that still went through. Lovely. So now that I feel like I've actually fixed my issues, I've somehow accidentally sent my story to someone. I don't know quite how I managed that. But I see a starting soon symbol on my screen at that very top, which must mean it's nearly time for some qualifying.
Yes, indeed. And for the people watching, in case you see me in a Ferrari, that is correct. Apparently, as a host, I have to pick a car and then retire straight away due to a chance of a crash or bug. I'm not entirely sure which crash or bug. I haven't experienced it yet. I've been commentating on 3 races already last week during the 24-hour charity. But better safe than sorry. So here I am in a Ferrari, retiring straight away.
Well, you may have a very fruitful career for the Scuderia, because it pretty much lines up with the realistic expectations that we pin on them in the real world. Oops, did I say that out loud? But
better than Luca Badora's career. Oh, for some reason it went to the race.
Interesting. Well, I can certainly see a pit lane. Which, thinking about it, if we're going into a qualifying session, doesn't particularly make much sense.
No, I'm afraid we're going to have to restart this one.
Oh, if it doesn't rain, it pours. The amount of interesting things that have gone on in the process.
We're going to race for a qualifying position in this series now.
I mean, worse things have happened. Well, Quali Knight gets off to 5 red lights and Frostbeth leads the way.
No, I'm not.
Well, you did. You led the way and retired immediately. Who wins the retirement championship? It is, I believe that was the SET. And as you can see, a return to formality. Sponsor boards are back, baby, for F1 25. But yeah, definitely not the start that we were expecting there. But it's fine. Who doesn't love a technical issue? But I suppose that does maybe give me some time to sort out my camera. And maybe change shirt as well.
Why? It probably is quite hot there, out there in the UK as well, isn't it?
Well, it's not just the fact it's hot, it's the fact I rushed home because, as you know, Frost, we kind of
So
missed
just
lobby
you are
one.
hot then.
Well, it
Not
is.
the rest of the UK.
It is pretty hot in the UK. It is a lovely 25 degrees right now. Feels like 24, so it's pretty toasty. I can't help but notice, Frost, but the qualifying seems to be was set off.
Yeah, I had to reset it apparently because that's when just Alejandro said when you finish a lobby you need to change the quali format and then put it as before.
Wow, that sounds like EA. Well, who's ringing me? Someone's ringing me. That's odd. Right, Frost, I've managed to change
We're gonna try
my
again
shot.
then, I guess. 18 minutes once again, second attempt for the second lobby. That means the third lobby will be running a few minutes late. It's just a few minutes though. And since I'm the host of all of them, there shouldn't be a lot of a delay. And it means it gives a little bit of time to talk about the results of the upcoming lobby. Let's see. We've got YRG then, IRT, SET, EVR, UFRT, and QVR. Any team standing out for you, Byron, in particular?
I'm not really sure. Like, what team do I pick out of this lobby? It's a good lobby. I think IRT are obviously a team that we're expecting to look at quite a bit. They've raced before, so definitely going to be interesting to see what pace they have tonight. Frost, do you mind if I mute quickly? My friend is trying to call me, and I have no idea why.
Absolutely fine.
Give me 2 minutes.
No worries. It does allow me to talk you through a little bit of what I've seen from these teams in the past. I just so happen to have commentated a few weeks ago on another team event with several teams that are in here right now as well. I'm trying to find the results from that particular night, so I can actually give you an idea of what to expect from the teams here in particular. Unfortunately, it looks like it has been lost in time. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. No, it looks like it's lost somehow. Oh, there it is. Found it. It should be good. SET, which is one of the teams in this lobby, did not qualify for the particular team event. They were a little bit short during qualifying. Let's see. And none of the other teams that I can see on this list are in here. So the rest, at least compared to the others, is a bit of an unknown. We'll have to find out. Nico's son also happened to have qualified for SET in the previous team event, and he's going to have to try again in this one. Let's see if he's got more pace here in Barcelona than they had around... it was actually in Brazil, the Interlagos circuit right there. I'm hoping for you viewers that the game is actually showing on the stream.
It is.
Should be all right. And I think Byron is actually back.
I am back. That was the most useless phone call of my entire existence. I will be totally honest with you. But we gloss over useless phone calls and we turn our attention to something slightly more useful. It's qualifying, baby, and it is an important qualifying session. And, IRT, first out of the pit lane onto the circuit, wasting no time whatsoever, and, well, definitely a logical thing to do for IRT. They're, as we said, you know, they've raced before. They know what they're doing. This should, for them, be a bit of a formality.
Yeah, not to mention that this lobby is relatively full, so to say. Like 11 drivers in at the moment. Of course, you can see my own name in there, but as you can see, I've retired already. Otherwise, I'd be blasting them all away in terms of my lap time. Actually, I won't, but don't worry about that. Everybody's out except for Seth Martin for EVR, who's in fact leaving the pit lane right now as I say that. And yes, it's actually Nick who's going to come around the final corner first and try and set a hot lap for his team. Let's see what they're going to do compared to the other two teams. As I said before, VNT and TRT have qualified already. And for QVR, I can already see not a lot of hope, because since they're missing one driver, Byron, they have a penalty already.
Yes, off to a bad start when you've got a penalty, pretty much to kickstart your qualifying efforts. There's only 10 places up for grabs, and every millisecond counts. And, well, it's definitely putting them on the back foot. But Nick running up the hill and flinging it right and in towards this tricky downhill braking zone, and we obviously saw recent controversy there between Max Verstappen and George Russell. No controversy in this session though. It is all blast as fast as you can around the circuit of Barcelona Catalunya up until that checkered flag, and it is looking like a solid opening effort from the IRT man. But plenty of time for that to change. We've got a lot of time on the session, and well, it's going to be a lot of other drivers attempting to try and pounce in on this whilst they've got the chance. But an invalidation early doors for Nick means he won't be setting that benchmarker time. Instead, that will go to A to B for YRG, but Sound Coral, like a kitten, pouncing up to the top for the time being.
Spetsy then coming in second place. Both of the YRG drivers in third and fourth at the moment. Acer B and Kiko with 11.7 and 11.8 respectively. UFRT's Walter coming in at the moment in P6, 11.9. Nico Sun with an 11.9 as well. Only about half a tenth quicker than Walter at the moment. Trying to find somebody who's getting about close to finishing the lap. Looks like Deck has given up his lap right there. Seth Martin, though, about to cross the line. What can he do? Anywhere close to his teammate? No, only a 1 minute 12.2. The only driver, then, to come anywhere close to the lap times that VNT and TRT have set is Sound Coral. In fact, he's at the moment only slightly slower than the second VNT driver in the previous lobby. It's only by 2/100ths of a second. But his teammate, though, that average for EVR at the moment, not looking that healthy. But still, a long way to go as Nick comes back into the pit lane. I believe XD Parco is currently on his way in the second sector at 51.4 through the middle sector. That is right then. I believe that's about a second slower than Nick was, whose lap time we'll never find out until he stays within the white lights in the second attempt, I'm certain. So only 2 more corners to go for the one and only Red Bull, who's going to have to do a mighty lap time to get any chance of qualifying, but he's pulling back in the pit lane. That means his attempt is over for now, and we'll have to wait for the next couple of drivers to come out of the pit lane for attempt number 2.
Yeah, and especially at this sort of track, you can probably just about squeeze 4 runs in, especially if you invalidate early doors on that hot lap. You can come straight back into the pit lane and change tyres nice and early on. But no one really did that. But no doubt we'll have drivers back out onto the circuit very, very quickly. As well, the Aston Martin comes in, but I'm already seeing, I believe this is maybe, no, that's a driver coming in. But yeah, very quickly we should see them all start to peel back out of the pit lane, because every single second on the track is a useful learning opportunity for them, and you see there already back out onto the circuit, leading the pack is the man who led us out to begin with. It's Nick once again, but he is under pressure. He hasn't got a lap time on the board.
No, but it's still 12 minutes remaining. That means there's still at least 2 more attempts coming, depending on how quick they go around the track, of course. So Nick is the pressure not fully on yet, but definitely is starting to feel it a little bit. Same goes, of course, for XD Parco in particular, and Deck as well, who's, I believe, about to exit his own pit box as we speak. I can see in the chat a question about the lobbies. Which one is this? According to Naskai, the question indeed is already answered. by our chat. No, it's not really a chatbot, actually. Ace in the chat there. It's indeed lobby number 2 right here. Out of 4 from the top of my head. There's still 2 more coming with 5 or 6 teams respectively. And then we'll know which 10 teams, will be qualified for the upcoming event of season number 6. Should be good.
And, well, this should hopefully be a better lap time for Nick. I mean, anything's an improvement providing he gets it across the line without an invalidation. That's what he's really going to need on this lap time because it will give him more margin to push. And he is going to need that as we get towards the end of this. His teammate has a good lap time on the board. He's going to want to get somewhere in the region of, but he's got to try and do it around this second tour of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, heading up that hill once again. He was looking very good through these first couple of sectors. It just kind of all came a little undone around that final third sector. He just ran a little bit wide. There it is, invalidation lap over. He'll be hoping to not repeat that this time, but he'll also be hoping to improve on that solid sector 1 and 2 time he set first time out as we head up that hill. That is the second DRS zone of the lap, and in towards this board. We don't have a sector time to show his representative to his first lap because he didn't set it valid, but it does show us a purple sector 2 provisionally within the game. Whether that's real or not is a completely different question. But coming round the final bend, and oh, it's going round and round, and it's the first 360 of the evening that's on the broadcast as Aza sets the benchmark higher. Nick just can't seem to keep it in a straight line or not invalidated. It's not looking good for the IRT man so far. At least he's got a lap time on the board. It's just a shame. It's many seconds off, and, Deck is going into the gravel as well, so quite a few drivers finding the limit of the car here.
Yeah, struggling quite a bit, frankly, and that is bad news indeed. 1 minute 19 now for Nick, of course, is nowhere near good enough as Julian pulls back in the pit lane, still stuck with it 1 minute 12.0 as the Aston Martin that is Sound Coral. No, it's not Sound Coral, it's actually Seth Martin is actually starting his hot lap right there. The Mercedes behind is pulling into the pit lane right now. Teammate of Seth Martin, Sound Coral, actually set the fastest lap time of this session so far, an 11.350. 3/100ths of a second quicker than Spezzi in the second position at the moment. Then there's Azer B and Kiko in 3rd and 4th, all lap times ending on a 0, which I find quite fascinating as Seth Martin goes about 3.5 tenths quicker through Sector 1 alone, so he's definitely made a mistake somewhere. This lap time of his currently standing is definitely not reflecting of what he's capable of, I'm sure. And it's almost a second slower than Sound Core, and I feel like EVR is one of those teams we've got to keep ourselves an eye on, especially here in qualifying night as he is about to finish the second sector properly. We'll have a little bit of a comparison. I knew that Nick was sitting at 50.1, 50.3 right here, half a second quicker already. He's looking quite stable indeed. He's getting closer to the top 5. In fact, he might have been in there already. He's about as quick at the moment as Kiko is, but he might find a bit more time for the final 2 corners. There comes Seth Martin for EVR. Let's see what the Aston Martin can do as he comes onto the main straight and across the line. It's actually a 1 minute 11.664. That is, for now at least, good enough for 4th position.
Indeed, a good lap time from Seth Martin, and we've got to think, these drivers, like the EVRs, who are looking really solid at the moment, they're also going to be capitalising based off of people like Nick, who are really underperforming versus where they realistically should be. Nick should 100% be more towards where his teammate is. He's had the pace so far in the session, but he's not been able to deliver the lap time. As a result, he is bringing down the team's average lap time, and that's going to hurt them in terms of their position and potential as to whether they make it into the season or not. And this is what we mean. You're not just counting on one driver to deliver a good result. You need both to work together, deliver a really strong result. And, well, at the moment, they are lacking one solid driver who you would normally expect to be up there, the other one where you would want them to be, but now the third run's starting for those who have maybe offset themselves ever so slightly. Deck first to kick things off.
Yeah, Nico Sun for SET on his third attempt, currently sitting in P6 with a 1 minute 11.9, has just finished Sector 1. He would love to improve the average of only a 1 minute 11.9 something. It's actually, their average is pretty close to a 12.00 as we speak for the McLaren team at the moment. So Nico Sun then on his way on the back straight, DRS wide open once again as time is slowly starting to run out through the middle sector. That is quite a strong improvement there for Nico Sun. Over 3/10 quicker already, and he is going to find himself pretty close to Seth Martin's time potentially. And he might even try and attack Acer B's time for a potential top 3 position. With 2 corners to go, he needs to keep the car within the white lines and preferably pointing in the proper direction as he comes into the main straight, and he does so quite well indeed. The DRS open, and there is a 1 minute 11.5, so not too bad at all. Then Nick, he's currently on his way. His teammate Spessy is about to start his hot lap. I'm trying to find the next car on the hot lap. That's one of the Mercedes cars. I believe that is actually, no, it is. In fact, yes, it's Walter, as Dak is actually about to start the hot lap, and Julian is about to finish his as well. That's going to be a 1 minute 11.7, another improvement, and their SAT lowering their average, which of course is fantastic news for them. Then Walter next across the line for UFRT. They're currently sitting in 8th and 9th. 11.9, 12.1. Walter improves to a 1 minute 11.7. Is that good enough? We cannot tell you just yet. Then the man we've all been waiting for once again, Nick, is gonna try, and this time come to the main straight properly without spinning around, and the lap time is going to be a 1 minute 11.4, and that is the lap time you want to expect from a team like this. So well done to him. A proper lap time on the board at long last.
Indeed, he really needed that lap time, but now XD Paco across the line, a 1:37, so I can only presume that must have been maybe a second out lap or a massive mistake made on that lap. I have no idea what happened to XD Paco, but 4 minutes left, just over on the clock, and we're really into that business end of this session, and, well, right when it matters, one of the IRT cars goes up to 4th, the other one up to P1, and by quite a margin, just over a 10th out in front. IRT are looking a lot stronger than they did about a minute ago, and that's all it takes to make a difference between qualifying and not.
Yeah, he's getting awfully close to the fastest lap time of the night, which has been set by VNT. 1 minute 11.112 is the fastest lap time so far, so he's about just a little over a 10th off at the moment. But this is definitely good news for IRT, who are looking quite strong. Average-wise, I'd say they are currently about as quick as TRT, who had a 1 minute 11.32 and a 1 minute 11.33, 1 minute 11.38, sorry. From their 2 drives in the previous lobby, which means they are quite evenly matched at the moment. So 3 minutes 15 seconds remain, and that means one more attempt for all of these 11 drivers, and then we will know a little bit more about the potential top 10 for CSS Season 6.
Yeah, because I think it's really important to know that even though IRT are looking really, really strong at the moment, just because they look good now doesn't mean they will after the other 2 lobbies have taken place, because at the end of the day, anything is possible when you could have 6 teams in the next lobby all blow IRT out of the water, and all of a sudden IRT have gone from maybe a respectable 3rd or 2nd all the way down to, 8th or possibly even lower, depending on how other teams perform in the next lobby. And that's why it really does take, 3 lobbies, really, for us to build a clear picture as to who may have banked themselves a place in the season. Because until you're really towards the end of qualifying night, it is pretty much anyone's game.
Yeah. The only team that is probably certain of not qualifying for this season is QVR, as one of the drivers went pretty much literally AWOL. So that means they are currently 11th. 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th, 37th, 38th, 39th, 40th, 41st, 42nd, 43rd, 44th, 45th, 46th, 47th, 48th, 49th, 50th, 51st, 52nd, 53rd, 54th, 55th, 56th, 57th, 58th, 59th, 60th, 61st, 62nd, 63rd, 64th, 65th, 66th, 67th, 68th, 69th, 70th, 71st, 72nd, 73rd, 74th, 75th, 76th, 77th, 78th, 79th So that's a big problem for them. XD Paco, of course, his lap time not representative at the moment, but he will have to average at least a 1:07 or something like that to at least have a bit of a chance, which is pretty much impossible. So he's going to have to make the most of what happens tonight. Sound Coral then, on his final attempt, just started his hot lap 2 100s faster in the first sector alone, and he's gonna try and snatch that first position of this lobby away from Spetsy, and maybe even try and attack the fastest lap time of the night of an 11.112, set by VNT in lobby number 1. Sound Coral then, their team are looking quite strong. Seth Martin and Sound Coral doing a strong job with their average as it stands, as Soundcore is about to finish Sector 2. Let's see what the improvement is right over there. It's a 50.0, which is a little bit slower than he was previously. Of course, he's right in the middle of several cars. Fortunately, no understeer, no dirty air, because collisions are currently turned off. They also cannot tow of one another. So cooperation on track between teammates is not going to be possible whatsoever tonight, as Sound Coral comes around the final bend and does improve by a little bit, but that might actually make the difference between qualifying or not, depending, of course, on how the other teams will do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we mean when we say every millisecond counts. We really do mean it. Every millisecond will count in the grand scheme of things. Whether it maybe looks it now is irrelevant. You know, when it kind of gets more towards the business end, that's when you really begin to see those minor improvements really add up and make a huge difference to where these teams actually end up finishing. And a driver who could be on for a solid improvement is Seth, the EVR teammate of Tucson Coral, who's in second at the moment. Seth will be the first driver to take the checkered flag. He improves by a 1/10.5, but doesn't gain a place crucially. And we're into that business end, and Walter won't improve for UFRT, so that will mean he'll be 9th at best, and that does not set up a good start to the average for them. But it is definitely still on the cards. Just his teammate is going to have to do a mighty lap here. But Sound Coral next across the line. He takes the checkered flag. It's not an improvement. Kick Sauber of Azza next across the line. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. It doesn't seem like there's much time out there to improve, but Spezzy finds it.
Yes, he does, and he's precisely 7/100ths of a second away from the fastest lap time of the night, with a 1 minute 11.182. So well done to him. Looks like IRT will have no issues qualifying at all tonight. I also saw Nick improving at the last second, literally, of the lobby. You can see right there, we've got an IRT 1-2 in this lobby, with Nick coming in second place. 1 minute 11.2. Then going downwards, Sound Coral in third, then Azer B in P4, then Nicholson for SET P5, EVR Seth Martin in P6, then Julian in P7, Kiko P8, Walter in 9th, and Deck in P10. Then Paco, I think he already thrown in the towel because he's got no representative lap time whatsoever. And that means we can at least say for certain that KioVR will not be racing in Season 6. For the other teams, the nail-biting will begin now, especially with Lobby 3 coming up, because there, my dear viewers in the chat, we will have the current champions of TF10. My camera is not on, so...
Oh, brilliant. Well, definitely an interesting session there, and looking forward to seeing what happens now, because we've got that third lobby, and it only gets, I want to pick your brain on this, actually. If you were in these drivers' shoes, and you were doing a qualifying night on behalf of a team, would you rather go at the start or at the end?
That is a great question. I've asked in the previous team event I did the qualifying night for as well. And personally, I would actually prefer to go late, because then at least you have something you can work towards. You know what the other teams have done, and the later you go, the more you can work towards with. However, the downside, of course, being that there's more pressure. So that's the downside of it. But I would personally go later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd do. I'm throwing out this hypothetical scenario. I've not even put any thought into what I would do in that scenario. But like, I think it's such a nerve-wracking thing to go in. I would say go in right at the death of it and try and deliver something excellent. But then on the flip side, when you do deliver something excellent, it feels so much more rewarding because you've had the satisfaction of the pressure was on, and when it mattered most, you delivered the result that took the team through to qualifying. But I don't know. I don't feel like I'm anywhere near good enough at the game to even contemplate what I would do in this scenario. But if I did have to say what I would do, I feel that I would probably rather, similar to you, go at the end, because although the pressure's on more, I feel like you kind of get the energy as well. Like, it's like you get that extra adrenaline. It's like when you do, I suppose, maybe a bit of a weird example, when you do like an exam at school, and like you find that like extra gear right at the end when it matters most that gets you the result that you needed, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I can also completely understand why some people would prefer to go earlier. Less pressure, and maybe some teams are actually confident enough to go earlier. I mean, the two teams that won in Lobby 1, and their average is still one of the best out of all teams we've had so far, which means that I think they've got very little to worry about, VNT and TRT both. I think IRT quite safe as well. EVR might be safe too. SET could be in for a shot of the top 10 as well, but it really depends on the upcoming teams. And I can tell you, there's going to be 5 teams in the next lobby, which should be starting any moment now. We've got AERT driving in the Ferrari. Now we've got AMR in the Mercedes. We've got F1AF in the Red Bulls. GSR in the Williams, and then of course your reigning champions for CSS, TF10 in the V-Carbs. And those two drivers we've definitely got to keep our eyes on tonight. We've also seen Abdullah Boulay saying in the chat he prefers the later lobbies because the latest lobby has more grip. That's also interesting, by the way, Bayern. Aiden in the chat says, wouldn't theoretically the smaller lobbies get less track improvement?
I was literally just about to actually mention that, because I think that's a great point. I presume that because of the way we have it set, we don't have an option to say it's perfect track conditions like you get in time trial. So I presume that there is an element of track evolution that we would see. What?
Echo.
Oh, I might have my... I know what's happened. I know exactly what happened. My microphone for my camera is on, but so's my microphone. Brilliant. Now that that's sorted...
Double microphone.
Double microphone. You get to hear me twice as much, which means your ears die twice as quickly. But self-burn, those are rare. Now that I've demoralized myself and ruined my own self-esteem, brilliant. It's definitely like an interesting thought, because yes, surely there would be an element of track evolution, but I suppose as a caveat point to that, there's more cars to possibly off-put you as well. I feel like even though a driver could be very far off the racing line, not really in the mix and causing issues, there is a scenario where they off-put you enough out of the corner of your eye that it just causes you to brake a little too early or make a mistake. So I suppose there's pros and cons either way.
Yeah, I was actually telling Ace how many people are in at the moment, and we're missing one team. Trying to figure out who it is. It's actually F1AF. Both drivers are still missing. I believe I've received friend requests from at least one of them, so I hope they'll be joining in time. For ART, they are complete at the moment, and maybe it's a good idea to give them a little introduction on who is driving for all of these teams. For AERT, we'll be having Wales Jack alongside Max. And then, of course, in the Ferrari GSR, we've got Poyonen and Jacob Groom, whose name I thought was Jacob Groot, because for some reason this game cuts off long names. Kind of annoying, really.
Yeah.
Then for AMR, we've got Giovanni Galiotto, and I believe that is Luke Spite, both in the Mercedes cars. Abdullah Boulaish and Marcel Pabst, two very familiar names driving for the TF10 team. And for, well, F1AF, they should have Jerem 97 and Noah Raza. Just hoping they'll be joining very soon indeed. Just saw a friend request coming through EA, even though I wanted them to not do that through EA. But whatever.
Trust the drivers not to follow basic, simple instructions. Well, I mean, yeah, we are, getting into that lobby 3, and TF10, big usual suspect. You'd be surprised if they weren't on it from the get-go. But stranger things have happened, and we've seen many a team surprise us at times. But I doubt that TF10 are going to become a surprise.
Yeah, it's apparently very difficult to read these days. Sorry if I sound a little bit annoyed. It's just kind of wild, really. So yeah, waiting for 2 drivers to join, and then hopefully we'll be going in time. Otherwise, lobby 4 might be delayed as well.
Yes, probably going to be a few delayed across the board, but nothing major. Nothing major. But yeah, just waiting to see if we get that final team to join us or not. If not, we will just get underway and get the action underway. But, TF10, you'd have to argue are the favourites. But then AMR, they are known for being a little bit pokey and at the heels of their rivals, and AERT as well. They're established teams, all of these teams really quite established, and all of them vying for the same places, but there's only going to be 10 teams that make it through. 8 teams are going to be leaving tonight. Very disappointed. We may have already said goodbye to a few of them earlier on in the broadcast so far, but one of the F1AFs has joined now. Just waiting for the other one, and then lobby number 3 will be underway.
Yeah, as I said, both... actually, one of them is in. Noah Raza has finally joined, and that means we're missing only one more, and according to the quali lineup, that is going to be Jerem 97. They've got the reserve in too, Big Shoots. So let's see which one of the 2 is going to be joining. And there they are, finally. Jerem 97 is in too.
Well, it is...
So, let's go.
Time to get the next lobby underway, and, well, again, an important one for all of these teams. TF10, we expect to see them through, but it's always interesting to see. There's always a surprise that gets flung into the fold during this sort of qualifying night. We always see the odd team not deliver maybe the result they were expecting. I doubt we'll see TF10 in that fold today, but stranger things have absolutely happened here. But lobby number 3 getting underway in the next couple of seconds. Who do you think is going to be P1 in this session and come out with a fairly good chance of making it through to the season? Are you going for the obvious choice of TF10?
Yes, yes I am.
Yes, I mean, it's a bit difficult not to, but what other teams, looking at this, do you think have got a good chance? I'm in the AMR court, and maybe even...
AMR, yes.
Yeah.
I think F1AF is an unknown for me, to be honest. We'll have to find out how well they'll do. ART, I've seen them in the previous event as well. That's where they struggled a little bit. They just missed out though. So maybe this time they'll be able to just stay in the top 10. And GSR, well, we'll have to see. They've brought again Poljonen in. Also, a little side note here. We've got the results from the previous 2 lobbies averaged together. And at the moment, IRT stands on top, just barely ahead of VNT in second place. Then TRT finds themselves in P3. EVR is in P4, then YRG P5, SET P6, UFRT 7th, and QVR, of course, being last as we speak. Apparently the lap time of Paco hasn't counted, and the lap time has been just set to 1 minute 14 round. Meaning that, well, they're definitely out. UFRT, SET, they might be balancing on just making it or just not making it. Same goes for YRG. I think everybody from EVR and upwards might be a little bit more safe, definitely in terms of average lap time. We'll find out soon, because many drivers have come out on track.
Indeed, yeah, a lot of drivers out on the circuit already in this session, and well, GSR once again, it's the team representing Williams in game of the first out on track. This time GSR, but it's interesting that Williams seem to be the one always jumping out the pit lane. Maybe because they're so far down, but who knows? Jacob coming round the final couple of ends, and the outlap around here is quite important because, especially in this third sector, a lot of those sweeping left, sweeping right corners, they can really overheat the tyres, and those fronts can absolutely cook around those corners. So this outlap is really important for preparing the tyres and trying to get it into the best window possible. But down towards turn number 1, and now heading up and round, and this is a very difficult right-hander. You can lose the rear end on it quite easily at times if the tyres aren't in the right window, and maybe you have a bit too much wear. A little bit of a squirrel on the exit there is now going down, and a lot of elevation.
I'm not sure if you noticed it, Byron.
I noticed
the
there's
background,
Mercedes,
when we were watching
yeah.
Jacob, Luke Spite spun around turn 4.
I did notice that there was a Mercedes that was going slowly in the sector, but slow laps, not so good. Fast laps, maybe so. And Jacob, he's off to a good start for GSR, putting a good benchmarker time down, it seems, but a lot of other teams are going to be nipping at the heels here, and GSR have definitely got to prove themselves here. But now, around the final bend, up towards the line, what is it going to be? It's a 1:11.871. That's not a bad lap time at all for them. But Marcel Pabst across the line, it's 4 tenths better than they managed. That's a good lap time from TF10, but we were expecting that.
Noah Raza for F1AF with an 11.8, and then Abdullah Boulaish, unsurprisingly, now the fastest overall, as he slots in a 1:11.3 with the banker lap, actually, which is already pretty close to the fastest lap of the night. Still in the hands of VNT. Their average, of course, not being the highest, but the fastest lap time is still for them at the moment. Some drivers have invalidated the laps, I believe Giovanni Galiotto being one of them. Luke Spite has already pulled back in the pit lane. Both ART cars currently without a lap time yet. Welsh Jack still on track, and Max having already come back in the pit lane right there. And that means the slowest of the lot at the moment is Poljonen for GSR with a 12.0. Jacob Groom, with a 1:11.8. Which is an average of about 1:11.9, which would at the moment be the slowest average. Of course, track evolution will still be underway. We've seen many big improvements, especially coming later down the line, the final few minutes of the qualifying night for their lobby. So let's not put too much weight onto these lap times yet, and wait a little bit longer to see what they can do. GRM 97, by the way, third fastest at the moment. And F1AF actually might be in the mix for this one.
Yeah, I think they pleasantly surprised. Definitely what I was expecting there. That lap time from Jerem, a really solid benchmark time, and 1:11.582, you can't complain about that sort of lap time. It's strong, it's solid, it's the sort of lap that you would expect from, you know, a team like the team in front of them, TF10, you know, setting that good benchmarker nice and early, gives them more margin to push later on in the session. F1AF looking good so far, and they're definitely under a lot less pressure than AMR or AERT, both of whom have no lap time on the board for either driver, so pressure's going to be felt down in those camps, but every other team is probably feeling a little bit happier, but I do love the very nice looking timing tower here. It's TF10, TF10, F1AF, F1AF, GSR, GSR, AMR, AMR, AERT, AERT. It's nice, it's symmetrical, it looks beautiful. Stop the clown, it looks nice how it is.
Well, Luke Spite might throw a spanner in your beautiful timing tower right now. Because he's just started his hot lap and is about to finish Sector 1 with a 21.324. Purple according to the game, but then again, as somebody said in the chat already, everything is purple for the game, so there's that. Luke Spite then on his way for AMR. They want to try and measure themselves with the likes of a team such as TF10, BNT, IRT, maybe even TRT as well. So there's definitely that pressure for them in as well, and they've got something to work towards, as I said. The later you go in these lobbies, the more you can know what the other teams have done. So, Luke Spite knows what to do. 50.2 through the middle sector, which is pretty fast, I have to say. So he might try and match at least Marcel Pap's time, and maybe a little bit more than that. 2 corners to go. His teammate is just ahead. He's about to start his hot lap, as Luke Spite is about to finish his round to final bend on the main straight. DRS open, and it is indeed a 1:11.493. Very close to Marcel Papst. But not quite close enough, and that means now the waiting begins for his teammates and of course the AERT guys.
Indeed, yeah, AERT Max is on a lap time at the moment. He was overtaken by the Mercedes man on his flying lap. Now it's going to probably be the other way around, I would have thought, but yeah, Max trying to fly the flag for AERT at the moment and hopefully do something similar to what AMR did with Luke, because, well, all of a sudden, AMR, that one good lap time, showing that there's a little bit of pace there. What can AERT do, though? Could they be about to maybe ruffle a few feathers? Well, a 50.7 is not the fastest we've seen, but by no means is it the most sluggish in the world. It could be a good banker time for Max as things stand round the final. Couple of ends and up towards the line. What will it be for the AERT man? He's the first AERT across the line. It's maybe not what he would have wanted, but Giovanni up to second, and now AERT's teammate Wellish going across the line, and he goes fifth as Marcel Papst raises the benchmark.
Yes, indeed. And 1:11.131, getting awfully close to the fastest lap time of the night. Still in the hands of VNT. Marcel Papst there going, well, almost 2/10 quicker than Abdullah. And I said that, and then it suddenly went less than a tenth of a difference in between the two teammates. So once again, they're 1 and 2. AMR have slotted themselves in between some other teams in 4th and 5th. GRM 97 also improved. Quite fast out there, GRM actually is for F1AF, with a 1:11.322. Looking very strong indeed. Let's see if his teammate can do the same. Noah Raza at the moment has finished the second attempt. Sits in P8 with a 1:11.6. Now that seems low in position-wise, but lap time-wise, 11.6 is not that bad. Especially with the average taken for the F1AF team. That would be a 1:11.45-ish, which would currently place them in P5 as we speak, but there's still, of course, a long way to go. Lap times will drop a little bit more due to track evolution, so don't pin me on that one just yet. GSR then with Boyonen, P7 at the moment, 1:11.5. Jacob Groom, 11.8. Their average is going to be a bit more nil-bitey than for F1AF at the moment. But I can say for sure that whatever TF10 does, they are definitely safe. And I think AMR don't have to worry too much about it either. Although they might want to go a little bit quicker than this, just to be completely safe.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to try and do the best job they can to try and guarantee themselves a slot, and you don't want to leave anything to chance. You don't want to go into that final lobby with a 50-50 chance that you do qualify and a 50-50 chance that you don't. That's not the sort of odds that these teams will want. They want to book it in. They want to know by that fourth lobby, we have a place. We don't need to worry. You can almost tune out and not even watch if you know you're already through, although please do watch. We would appreciate you seeing who your competition is. But Luke, for AMR, beginning his next lap time, you'll see he breaks just before the 50-meter board up through this slingshot section of corners. You go left, you go right, up towards the top of the hill, and then this right-hander, very hard, very tricky. The tyres absolutely squealing from all of the right-hand energy you've given them up the hill, and then it's straight down the hill. Now the left tyres take a bit of brunt, take a bit of pain as you go through this chicane and then up towards this DRS zone, that fast right. A little bit of nuisance for the tyres, but then a little bit of an opportunity to rest as you head on down. A 10th improved for the AMR man, so that's not a bad improvement. That puts him about where his teammate is at the moment, which is a solid place to be in this qualifying session. Around the final bend now, 6.5 minutes left on the clock. Luke is about to cross that finish line. It's an improvement by nearly a tenth of a second. It doesn't take him up a place, but crucially improves that average. Next across the line though, Jacob, who is looking like he's making a solid improvement, but it may not gain him much in terms of position.
Let's see, one more corner to go. There goes the Williams. DRS open once again across the line. It's a 1 minute 11.6, which is about 0.2 quicker. That is great news there for GSR, but they want to do a little bit more than that. Poyonen is currently on his way for the team. Several other drivers are making their way through at the moment and trying to find which driver's about to cross the line first. I think it is Giovanni Galeotto, the second AMR driver. Yes, indeed. Almost 1.5 tenths quicker through the middle sector. That is looking quite promising indeed. He might try and snatch P2 away from Abdullah Boulaish, at least for a little while, as he's only got a little more to go to lower the average for AMR even more than that. Luke Spider's improved. Giovanni is going to do the exact same thing, and he does improve indeed. Not splitting the TF10 drivers though, but he does overtake Jerem 97 on the leaderboard with a 1 minute 11.258. And then we're going to wait. The long wait begins for more drivers across the line. I believe Max is next to do so. Yes, indeed. He's the only driver remaining with a 1 minute 12.1. He's going to have to find a lot more time than that. And he does indeed. At 1 minute 11.6. I have to say, Byron, average lap time-wise, this lobby is the most competitive so far.
Yeah, and some big improvements being made as well by a lot of drivers. So we're really beginning to see these lap times absolutely plummet into the ground, and this is getting pretty juicy, pretty competitive. F1AF Noah Raza, he comes across the line, he makes an improvement as well. Jerem will come across the line. Abdullah as well will come across the line first. He doesn't improve, and Jerem calls it quits on his lap time as well, but not particularly unsurprising that these drivers are bailing out now. 4 minutes left on the clock. They want to be on the track right at the death of the session to maybe benefit from the best of the track conditions with that small amount of track evolution that will happen. So playing a little bit strategic, maybe. But Luke, already back out on the road, he is wasting no time. He wants a clean road in front of him, and it looks like he's going to get it when it comes to that final flying run.
Indeed. It's 3.5 minutes remaining. F1AF, AMR and TF10 are looking quite strong in this lobby. GSR has got a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Poyonen, 1 minute 11.4. Jacob Groom, 1 minute 11.6. ART appear to be struggling a little bit. Their average at the moment would only be good enough for a current P 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. Maybe P5, which is definitely not that safe just yet. Considering the fact that there's 5 more teams to join in the final, 4th and final lobby, in fact. And I've just looked at the list of those final lobby teams. We've got PGR, ONB, ET8, RSC, and AZR joining over there. So there might be a little bit of danger coming from that lobby as well. Once again, Luke Spite is the first car to start a hot lap, but I see that Jerem is quite enthusiastic as well. Wants to go out nice and early. He's got a very clear track ahead of him. Same goes for Wells Jack. He's got one of the Mercedes drivers right behind, of course, that being Luke Spite, who is going fast. I hope Wells realizes that, because you do not want to get any penalties whatsoever. Even the slightest penalties of half a second added to your lap time, or maybe even to your average, could really destroy your hopes of joining this season. So let's find out what these drivers will do on their final runs.
Indeed, yeah, and yeah, Luke's doing a very solid job at the minute. Looking like a solid lap time. He has bailed off of it, so he clearly wasn't happy with something on that lap, or maybe he took this as an opportunity to have a bit of a push, back off, go again, just because he's got the essence of time. And time is a very wonderful thing in this instance for all of these drivers, as now Jerem will be the next driver to come across the line and start a flying lap time, shortly followed by Welsh in 8th at the moment. So a few drivers beginning their final flying runs. Jerem for F1AF, who are looking competitive and looking in the mix here. Definitely looking to try and get more into the hunt of TF10, which has been pretty much where he's been fighting and battling with them throughout the session so far. But a question to you, Frost. Do we see a 1 minute 10?
We might, but I think it's going to be a tight one, actually. Come to think of it. That would mean at least a 132 milliseconds of an improvement from Marcel Paps at the very least. And I think that is going to be a challenge and a half. In fact, I'm watching him right now, as several other drivers will soon be crossing the lines for their final runs. And then we'll know what the averages will be for their lap times. I believe Noah Raza is about to start the lap. Jerem 97, I think, has just finished his and is gone to a 1:11.322, which is quite strong indeed. Next to cross the line properly is one of the ART cars. That is Wells Jack. Actually, I think he's preparing for another attempt. Yes, he is. So then, properly first drive to cross the line is going to be Giovanni Galliotto, and maybe even more of the GSR drivers of Poyonen. Yes, it is. Poyonen next then to round off this qualifying session for himself as he comes around the final corner, and then we'll see what he can do for GSR. He does improve. No, he doesn't actually. He stays with a 1:11.492. Luke Spite has finished qualifying. Giovanni Galliotto stays with a 1:11.258. Then, next across the line, Jacob Groom, 31 milliseconds slower, bangs his way into the pit lane, nearly spins around as well. Very enthusiastic indeed. They're coming across the line. Next, Marcel Paps stays on a 1:11.1. So the hopes for a 1:10 rest with the other drivers, including Abdullah Boulaj. Next across the line, I believe, is Noah Raza, 70 milliseconds quicker in Sector 2. That would do wonders for the average as well. Can he get closer to his teammate? Round the final bend across the line? No. Also no improvement there either, which is very interesting to watch, actually. Very few drivers manage to improve. Jerem 97 then, does he improve? Yes, he does. Third fastest. Very good news for F1AF indeed. Then next across the line, Wells Jack, 3 milliseconds quicker through Sector 2. Across the line, goes half a tenth quicker then. Good news for the average. And then it is actually over. I was about to go into excitement mode, but no need for that, because Abdullah Boulaj is the fastest. And frankly, Byron, look at that. He's at the exact same lap time as the fastest lap from VNT, so now they're equal.
But the average for TF10 is going to be just a little bit better, because they are so, wow, the pace between the two TF10 drivers so evenly matched here. But I gotta say, big surprise there for me. F1AF and AMR really in the mix here. Absolutely, really was not afraid to, get into the fold and had a really strong session. They are going to be very, very happy, no doubt about that one.
Yes, indeed. And now all we need to do is wait for the next lobby to get going. You can see drivers leaving already. And then the final batch can join. TF10 then, on average, the winner. Lap time-wise, they have got to share the honors with VNT for now. We've got 5 more teams coming in. One veteran team of ET8, of course, very familiar esports team through the F1 community here. That's going to be another interesting team to watch. PGR, I think, as well, will be another interesting team to keep an eye on. But yeah, let's find out who's going to claim the top spot. As soon as the averages are updated, I'll tell you which teams are definitely safe and which teams might be at risk. I think it's safe to say that at least TF10, IRT, VNT, and TRT, and maybe even EVR are going to be safe for this season. But we'll have to wait a little bit longer to make sure that is actually the case.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. And that's the thing that we really find is that, you could go into it with one expectation of who's, looking strong, and it could just be completely different based off of who's actually able to deliver in the moment. And that's something I think we have found definitely really telling. Anyone can set a good time trial lap if you give them enough time, but it is not that easy to, set the laps. In this sort of pressured environment, it isn't as easy as a time trial where you can just press restart lap. This is do or die, and teams are really resting off of a good lap time, and they need it.
Some questions about the rankings from Aaron. The rankings with the new teams included that just finished are not there yet. The question about EVR, the average lap time for them is an 11.419. So let's see whether that is going to be good enough. With 5 more teams joining, obviously the top 6 are definitely safe in the standings, or top 5, I should say, are definitely safe. In terms of getting qualified for this season, I can see hard work being done right now in the sheet. With all the lap times being right there, the averages are coming in very quickly indeed. So in a few moments, we'll actually know what the rankings are at the moment. And we'll have a good indication of which teams will be in danger and which teams are quite safe indeed. So 5 more teams coming in. That, of course, as I said before, PGR, ONB, ET8, RSC, and AZR. Let's see if another team can pull a big surprise. I have to say F1AF wasn't unknown for me, as I said, and they pleasantly surprised me. And that's definitely going to be a very interesting one to keep an eye on in the actual season.
Yeah, I mean, I am super duper looking forward to this final lobby as well, because this final lobby is where everything really strings together. We really piece together that final picture, and we begin to nail down which teams are definitely going to be there and which ones aren't as well. That's the difficult thing. And for some teams who went earlier on in Lobby 1 or Lobby 2, you've got to imagine they're kind of watching on maybe with a little bit of agony, maybe a little bit of regret as well. Should we have gone later on in the session? Well, only hindsight's a wonderful thing, and well, they didn't make that choice to begin with, but they will definitely be pondering all.
Can I say something?
Go on.
The rankings have been updated. And this is interesting. As I said, the top 5 are going to be safe. At the moment, it's TF10, IRT, VNT, and AMR. They are safe. F1AF is P5. However, and this is funny, their average is exactly the same as TRT, but they are ahead. Why is that? Well, I think it is because one of their lap times is faster than the fastest lap time of TRT. Yeah.
Yeah, they must have the fastest lap time even because I suppose you can't rule it off of the logic of, well, they set theirs first, because that doesn't make much sense in this instance where you've got 4 lobbies of 18-minute sessions. So I presume they're basing it off of who set the fastest time, and then the average from that. So I suppose that's the way they do their count back, I suppose. But definitely interesting. The fact that we've got an average exactly the same. That is definitely not something I was expecting for this one. Definitely exciting to see that, though, for sure. These drivers, you want it to be super duper close. It doesn't get closer than being matched on pace and having to maybe put it down to a little bit of who went faster first. And that's the interesting way that the things are decided, and that's the way motorsport works. And it's exciting to see how close these guys are.
Yep. Let's have a little look. Teams that are definitely out. There's already 3 teams that will definitely not qualify. SET, UFRT, and QVR, of course, will not be taking part, at least for now, because, of course, all the teams that do not make it in will have a reserve spot. And as it stands, SET will be first reserve. So the average of an 11.616 is the benchmark of not being able to make it. And then GSR is currently in 10th as we speak, with an average of an 11.590. So that is the average we're going to have to keep an eye out for, and the teams in now know what to do. That is the average that RSC, PGR, AZR, ET8, and OMB are going to have to keep an eye on. So wishing them the best of luck. And now the pressure is on properly. And now all drivers are in. I can tell you that for RSC, we've got Lucas SL and Sam Arling. For PGR, we've got Trisk and Takubi. Very familiar names there indeed. For AZR, I'm trying to find the full name of the first driver, because, of course, the game cuts off names very unhelpfully, actually. It's Daniel Maas alongside Lumi in the V Carb for AZR. Then OMB, they have got Salva Almeida and Iago Coira in the Aston Martin. And then for ET8, we have got Jonas, once again, the last name being cut up, Jonas Orpel and Noel Gestrein in the Mercedes car. And I think that introduces all of them.
Indeed it does, and that introduces the 4th and final lobby for Quali Night for Season 6 on F1 25. And well, it is bound to be an action-packed final lobby, not a question of a doubt on that one. Everyone beginning to ready up, and well, you got to say ETA are going to definitely be fancying their chances to get through here. But every other team, at least to me, is not one that I've heard of. I've heard of drivers, such as Tektubi, as well as Trisk and Daniel Maas, I believe. Sam Arling as well, I've heard. But never heard of the teams before, so a bit of a delve into the unknown, because at least in my case, I have no reference for what is the status quo other than ET8 probably going to be up there.
PGR as well, I'd say. I've seen them before. Let's see, have I seen them qualify in the previous lobby? Yes, I have. In fact, PGR were the drivers that got closest to TF10's average in that particular team event. So that is definitely going to be fascinating. Also interesting to note that in that event, IRT only qualified 10th. And here they are doing currently a very good business in 2nd place out of them who've qualified so far. So that is quite a turnaround for the IRT team. So let's see, PGR then, at least in my eyes, definitely got a very high bar as with their previous results counted in. But first, coming out first is actually one of the AZR drivers, Lumi, out on track first for the 4th and final lobby.
Indeed, yeah, an important 4th and final lobby, because Well, as we were discussing, would you rather go last or would you rather go first? Well, these are the teams that have opted to go, plumb last, and they've got a mountain to climb here, but they've also got a mountain they can see that they know they have to climb. They know what the target is. They know what they need to deliver. It's about chasing that target now, whereas earlier on, you had no idea what you needed to set. You were just out and out. What can I do? So definitely a difference in maybe mindset for some of these teams going towards the end. But the objective is still the same. The objective is to blast around the circuit as fast as you can, get as close to the top of the timesheets as you humanly can muster, and Lumi first up to try and tackle that challenge, a mountain to climb, but plenty of elevation change around here, so it's going to feel like that mountain is ever looming.
Speaking of Lumi, great pun there.
Thank you.
Probably unintended though.
It was unintended,
Anyway,
but I will take it.
Lumi looming up the hill right there, coming into turn 4 at the end of the first sector. Unfortunately, I had my lap data turned off, so I cannot tell you for the life of me what the lap time actually was from my point of view. But of course, it's only a banker lap. The track still has to evolve, and with plenty of drivers out there, that evolving is going to happen for sure. The fastest lap time of the night, a 1 minute 11.112 in the hands of both TF10 and VNT at the moment. So they currently share the trophy of winning the fastest lap time of the night. Purple second sector, and that is actually quite purple indeed, a 50.164. It's quite fast for Lumi there. He's got one of the Aston Martin cars following suit, and then the other SZR car of Daniel Maas is coming up quite soon as well. But Lumi is going to set the first bar here in Barcelona, so to say, with a 1 minute 11.445. There it is. First lap time of the night. And it looks like Iago Coira with a 1 minute 11.5 is quite fast as well. Daniel Maas in third for now, 1 minute 11.6. Then next up, Noel Gestrein with a 1 minute 11.559, a millisecond quicker than Iago. And Jonas Orpel with a 1 minute 11.247 from the first lap time. That is extraordinarily quick, I have to say. ETA there with a big surprise from Jonas Orpel. They might actually try and challenge for the fastest lap time as well. And maybe your wish, Byron, of seeing a 1 minute 10 might come true.
Well, just in the blink of an eye, it seems like all 10 drivers crossed the line. Lucas, by the way, a massive snap and half spin on the exit of the final corner. Did such a good job to collect the car and not go the full 360. So just want to give a massive props to him. It does mean he's way off the time that his teammates set, or just anyone. But the fact that he managed to collect the car, absolutely incredible stuff. Because it can be difficult to collect the car when you lose it around that final bend. But ETA right out of the blocks. In fact, to be fair, pretty much everyone out the blocks. Brilliant lap times. PGR though, Tech2B and Trisk, both really strong lap times. But ETA, Jonas, really setting that benchmark. And as you said, that 1 minute 10 is looming. If they can be the only team to get a 1 minute 10, that is certainly going to be something for the competition to be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Meaning last season we saw ETA, well, they weren't really fighting for the title, but from what I can remember, it had a late season resurgence, getting stronger and stronger over time as the season progressed. So maybe they've now found their stride. And some very strong drivers to go along with it, and they might actually try and challenge TF10 for this season's title. Of course, TF10 being the defending champions. They do not have their big rivals FVR this season around, which is a bit of a surprise to me. They've been fighting for the title for the past 2 seasons. Season 4, FVR came out on top. Then last season, Season 5, it was in the hands of TF10. And maybe they'll have a new rival in the name of ET8 or possibly IRT and VNT as well. for this season. But then again, as we saw last season, qualifying night is not something to see as a sort of benchmark for the season. We saw, for example, trying to remember which team it was, but it was VRT. That was quite fast in qualifying, maybe even the fastest, but then in the season itself, they struggled hard. So, if anything, we've learned something from that. It is that qualifying night is not something to hold against the teams for the rest of the season. They might struggle come race day, but we'll have to find out first which 10 teams qualify. Average-wise, at the moment, AZR, RSC, ONB are definitely not safe. ET8 is looking a little bit better. PGR is looking very strong indeed, but Byron, they've got their work cut out for them.
Oh, absolutely. All of these teams have got their work cut out for them because they are fighting for the final few places and they need to try and cement themselves right at death's door in this session. One mistake, really can cost you dear, but Diego Coira is beginning his next flying lap. He's 6th at the moment, middle of the pack with a decent lap time on the board, but he needs to move up a few places, especially with his teammate Salva all the way down in 9th at the moment. You know, they may only have an average in the 1 minute 11.7 or 6 range, but that could make all the difference between getting through and not. But a strong Sector 1 showing at the moment, but you can't just base it off of Sector 1. There's 3 sectors, all with their own unique challenges. The rear end did get a little bit wayward there as we went up through that chicane. So possibly a sign that there's a lot of pushing going on here, and well, only a marginal improvement, so it's got to be a good third and final sector to really extract much worth setting the lap time out of this one. But it is really not looking perfect and rosy for Diego, who comes into the pit lane. Lumi, who was the first driver to set a lap time in this session, will be the next driver to set a lap time in the session. Makes a small improvement, but really nothing too meaningful.
Noel Gestein then improves to 2nd place, 1 minute 11.311 in fact. And now we've got an ET8 1-2 in this lobby. We can see there Daniel Maas, I believe, coming in, not happy with his lap time at all. Stays 9th fastest with an 11.6. Then I can see Jonas Orpel coming in too, but he's fastest overall. Got not much to worry about. Then the next is the PGR guys. Trisk is next across the line, does improve and goes fastest overall. Indeed, they might be the title challenges because there is Takubi as well. And 1 minute 11.197, and they are getting ever closer to that big lap time of 1 minute 11.112, the shared fastest lap time of the night between TF10 and VNT as it stands. RSC have improved both of them as well. Sam Arding goes up to a 1 minute 11.437. Lucas L goes into a 1 minute 11.541. They've pushed OMB down to P8 and 9. And there's a lot of pressure for the both of them, as well for Daniel Maas to improve, because as it stands, OMB and AZR are definitely not through. RSC, let's see, the average would be a 1 minute 4... Well, let's see, 1 minute 49, which would put them just ahead of AERT. Whether that's good enough, no, I don't think it is at the moment, so they've got some more time to find. Just doing a little bit of quick math here, by the way, trying to do it from the top of my head, placing the teams where they might just stand in these rankings at the moment. So errors might be coming up here and there from my side. But I'm trying to keep you guys updated as much as I can in terms of average lap time.
Indeed, yes, and we are getting to that kind of point where we have to try and run those mental numbers on the fly, because we're trying to suss who is in and who is out at the moment. It looks like ONB is definitely on the possibility of going out here. Same could be said for AZR as well. Lumi is doing a good job to bring the average up, but Daniel Maas has not got the best lap time on the board for the time being. But towards turn number 1, Diego Collier goes, and a lap time very much needed here. A good improvement could really catapult up the order for ONB, especially with things looking as tight as it is. PGR, though, looking quite comfortable out in front. Not a team I'd heard of until tonight, but really reining the neck out of ETA, a team who've always looked super strong, as Diego invalidates, and our next driver to come across the line will be, won't be Jonas. Who is the next driver to come across the line? I can't quite suss.
Trying to search with
Daniel.
you as well. Jonas Orpel actually is the next to cross the line on a hot lap. Daniel Maas, I believe, is actually just ahead as well. Yes, it is actually going to be Daniel Maas, slowest of the lot in the 4th lobby. And I think on average, this lobby is even more competitive than the 3rd one. So the stakes are very high indeed. Almost a 10th quicker goes Daniel Maas through Sector 2. The Dutchman looking quite strong indeed. He is going to make that much needed improvement to at least try and beat ONB in terms of average lap time. As it stands at the moment, it's not good enough for the team yet. But Daniel Maas might change it. Never mind. He spins round come the final corner. And that is terrible news with 6 minutes remaining. That means only one more shot for the team as Jonas Orpel puts in another fastest lap. A 1 minute 11.136, which is absolutely blisteringly fast. Still not the fastest, but ETA are getting more and more safe up there. But Daniel Maas is having a nightmare session tonight. And it's going to be very, very scary now for the AZR team. Lumi has just started his hot lap, I believe. So the pressure once again on him then.
Indeed, yeah, and now Jonas's teammate Noel is on a lap time as well. He wasn't looking like a huge improvement in Sector 1. Sector 2 paints a similar story, so I expect he'll probably abandon this as Trisk begins a flying lap time now as well. But the pressure really on for Daniel Maas in this session, because he's really hampering the chances that AZR make it through here. And you know, could this be that kind of what we were saying earlier about those nerves creeping in right at the death when the pressure is really, really on here? It's absolutely really on for AZR and for Daniel Maas. And could this be a bit of a breaking point here as we're getting towards the really, really tight end of this qualifying session where every little helps, and well, one of the drivers isn't quite delivering what they need to, but there is plenty of time for that to change. 4.5 minutes on the clock as Trisk comes into the pit lane to Kubi, has allegedly set a purple Sector 2. We can definitely believe that. Time. But he comes
Never
in.
Mind.
So we're seeing this again. They're wanting to get as much time on track as possible, and they're not afraid to abandon a lap if it means that they get the better track conditions at the end. Although, contrary to that, Lucas comes around the final bend. He'll go up to 5th. That's a 2.25 tenth improvement for the RSC man. And, well, you know, it's a needed improvement, but it doesn't leave you in the ideal scenario when it comes to that final run, because now he may have to push a bit like a stabbed rat to get around, get back out of the pit lane and ready for that final run, which some drivers are now starting to go out for.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to make it in time. His teammate Sam Arling, I believe, is on his way. Yes, he is. He's currently about to finish the middle sector. 25 milliseconds faster. RSC currently on the cusp of qualifying or not qualifying for Season 6 here in CSS. So Sam Arling, the pressure definitely on for him. Just 2 more corners to go for one of many Dutchmen in this lobby, in fact. As he comes around the final bend, is about to cross the line, and let's see what he can do for RSC. It is definitely an improvement, 3 milliseconds slower than his teammate, well over a 10th quicker, and that is very good news for the average. That would put them currently above AMR in the standings. With a bit of quick math right there. So good news for RSC as they're getting quicker and quicker. And now we'll find out whether AZR can manage the pressure. There are 2 drivers, currently P8, P10. OMB also all the way down there. And yeah, we'll have to find out very soon if they can make it or not.
Indeed, and Daniel Maas is really going to be feeling the pressure here because he's going to be the first driver to begin the final flying lap as well, which is even more nerve-wracking in this instance because now he's got to set that lap time and sit and watch as everybody else sets their final lap time, and he might see himself tumble down the order here, and that's not going to be good for his confidence going into this lap because he'll have that in the back of his mind as well. But Sector 1, is it a good improvement? He's not improving, but he's not far off the mark that he would want to be setting in that Sector 1. Is there going to be a lot of time in this Sector 2 and 3, though? That's the crucial thing that Daniel Maas knows the answer to, and we're going to see in the next couple moments.
He's pushing so hard. You can see he's fighting the car a lot through those corners. It was quite close to losing again. But he's still going strong, trying to get a little bit of a toe from a ghosted car. That won't work. A 10th quicker almost then through Sector 2, and that is good news then for Daniel Maas. He was faster in his previous attempt as well. Lost it on the final corner. Now let's see if his tires can stay alive long enough for the lap time to improve at long last. Daniel Maas then round the final corner, keeps the nose pointing in the right direction. DRS open, crosses the line. He does find a little bit less time in the final sector. And the average, well, we're gonna have to watch the others real quick, and then we'll find out whether it's good enough or not. That is an average of a 4, 5. It's actually an average of a 4.8, 4.7-ish, 4.6-ish. I think it's an average of 4.5 actually. That means they are just ahead of AERT and behind EVR. It's going to be a close call, I'm afraid. Can't say just yet whether it's good enough. We'll have to see. Other drivers currently on their way. Which car is next across the line? Byron, take us away for the final few.
Well, yeah, it's going to be the next driver to come across the line. It's going to be Takubi. It's quite an acre behind Jonas, who was improving up until just after the Sector 2 timing board, and then all of a sudden must have lost some pace. But Takubi is not losing pace here, and crucially for him, it's by about 1/10 of a second he's improving by. That could mean he supersedes Jonas, and it could also mean he sets the fastest time of the day, of the night, sorry. But as he comes around the final bend, what will it be for Takubi for PGR? He won't improve. So disappointing end to the lap, but it was looking good up until that final moment. He knows the pace is there. Now, Jaego Koira, he'll go into the gravel. He won't improve in this session. Lumi's found the gravel as well, I noticed as I flicked through. Salva now coming up to the line for ONB, goes up into 5th. That's an improvement. What can Trisk do? He was improving ever so marginally. He jumps his teammate. That improves their average, but not by exactly a meaningful margin. And by the looks of it, Daniel, once again, not setting the timing sheets alight. In fact, I think he's abandoned this lap. He'll take the checkered flag even though it's not a representative lap time. ETA may have topped the timing sheet, but I would argue PGR by far the most impressive team here.
Yeah, their lap times being the closest. The average will not win them the night. TF10 is going to be the winner of this qualifying night, but they will come in a very close P2 again. Just like in the last team event, they are TF10 1 and PGR 2. If we are going off the qualifying results of this night, we'll have to say we might see a title fight between these two teams. But then again, the other averages are very, very, very close as well. I think IRT and VAT could be in with a shot for the title this season too. Based off these results, I can see the sheet being filled in as we speak. So let's hope we'll have the results very, very soon. I can already tell you the average for PGR is an 11.1805. That's 4 numbers behind the decimal point right there. OMB's average is coming in at the moment. RSC's average, 1 minute 11.3165. OMB's got an 11.432. ET8 will have a brilliant average of a 1 minute point 11.1975, which is just a little bit slower than PGR right there. AZR then, that's the big one I think many people in the chat are waiting for, an 11.5. And the final results are from the from the top down. TF10 is the winner of qualifying night. Then PGR slots in second place. They'll qualify as well. 13 to qualify, ET8. No surprises there. Then in fourth place, IRT. Fifth is going to be for VNT, an average of 1 minute 11.277, and P6 is actually for RSC. They've recovered brilliantly by the end of the session. Then seventh place is going to be for AMR. They'll be qualifying as well. P8 for F1AF. Then a ninth place is for TRT. And then the one you've been waiting for, the last team to qualify for this season, is actually, drum roll here, EVR with an average of 1 minute 11.419.
Oh, any AZR fans are going to be absolutely gutted. I can, already see. Is AZR out right now? Was one of the messages said. This hurts from Christian Clausen. A few maybe unhappy drivers, but you know what? At the end of the day, it is got to be. At the end of the day, it is all about finding who is fastest when under that pressure. And, we certainly found there were a lot of drivers who buckled under pressure. And I think a lot more mistakes than we saw in previous seasons as well.
Yeah, I think the pressure was actually quite high. Some teams, of course, failed to qualify for another team event, other team events maybe even, in fact, and now they were very hungry to actually have a good result for this one at the very least. I think safe to say one of the bigger ones in the terms of team events, and they were very, very determined indeed. Some of them succeeded, some didn't. The first reserve will, of course, be ONB. AZR has finished in P12, ART 13th, YRG 14th, GSR and P15, and then SET, UFRT, and QVR haven't swapped positions. They are staying in the last three teams. The fastest lobby on average, I can say, is lobby number 3. They've got 3 teams out of their 5 in the top 10. Actually, lobby number 4 is the fastest on average. I have to correct myself there. Yeah. They've also got 3 teams, and they are a bit higher up there. Both teams from lobby 1 have qualified in 5th and 9th, which is a great result from them as well. They had no benchmark to work towards, but they've managed to do it all the same. And I think it's safe to say, Byron, I do not expect any penalties to come in.
No, it all seemed quite clean out there. Maybe some teams and drivers may, shoot the odd little blocking report, but a lot of the time that's just exploratory and just trying to see if they can fiddle with it and benefit themselves. And that's exactly what they're, hoping they're going to be trying to lobby for. But commiserations, at the end of the day, only 10 teams can make it through, and, 8 teams fell short of the hurdle, whether that be scheduling with drivers not showing up or just a lack of pace, too many mistakes. It's always gutting to have to say goodbye to teams, kind of at the end of one night, but you know what? It's always great to see so many teams, so many drivers get into one place and go and show who has the best pace, has the best potential, especially at such an early stage in the game. There's a lot of time for these drivers and teams to develop. Just because someone didn't qualify tonight doesn't mean they're not going to qualify next season. And I think that's something that I've always found is really interesting to watch, is how things ebb and flow season to season, but also race to race, because everyone's constantly learning on this game and constantly getting quicker. And especially with this year's game, big changes, a lot to learn. Even now, we can only take the results from tonight's qualifying session with a pinch of salt, because everything could change come round 1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the game has been out for only 1 month. Yeah. That says a lot. I mean, setups are just being born, literally, from many, many players. A lot of drivers still figuring out the best setup. for the particular tracks they like the most and the tracks they struggle on. All setups are still, being invented as we speak. So as you say, you're absolutely right on that one. It might be very different next week already.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see exactly how things look when we kind of get towards the midpoint in the season. We've seen already some teams that are looking really strong now, but by the midpoint in the season everything could change and they could be more of a mid-pack or even towards the back, especially with the way that, early on in the game cycle, drivers really change teams quite a lot as well. Anything is possible. And, any position I think is up for grabs for any of these 10 teams. Because, as I said, you can only take tonight's result pinch of salt territory for sure. And there's a lot of conclusions and questions still left unanswered, which I'm sure we will begin to piece together when the season does get underway. And, well, that's a very nice segue that I've already ruined into the calendar for this season, Frost, which is a phenomenal calendar. I say it every time because somehow I feel like the calendar gets better every season.
This one's got some really good tracks. We'll start with an Abu Dhabi, which usually is the place you finish the season. Funnily enough, we finish in Australia, which is actually the one you usually start the season. So it's like a reverse calendar. We've also got Monaco, which should be very good indeed, in between two USA races, Miami and Vegas. Miami having massively improved in this game in terms of track feeling, I have to say. Monza, of course, always provides good racing. Belgium, same thing really. Brazil, always fascinating to watch races there. I have to say, all these tracks are going to be races that are going to be worth watching. Even Monaco, judging on what we have seen here in CSS a few seasons ago. So yeah, really, really looking forward to this calendar. And we're going to count down. 2 weeks to go.
Indeed, 2 weeks to go indeed, and we get things underway. I can already tell you, that, preemptively warn you that I won't be there. I'm going to be in Bristol. So I'm not going to be doing commentary from Bristol Pride, however amusing as that would be. Probably not a good recipe for commentary, but honestly, I'm going to be probably in a field listening to a lot of festival music, having probably way too many pints, and I'm probably still going to check Twitter to see the results because the season getting started is always by far one of the most exciting points of a game cycle because there are so many unknowns, and I cannot wait to look back in retrospect, look as we head towards round 2, and really regret going to Bristol because I'm sure it is going to be an absolute corker.
It is going to be indeed. So we'll see you soon in 2 weeks' time, live in Abu Dhabi.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. This has been Qualifying Night. Frost will see you in Abu Dhabi. I will see you the following round, fingers crossed. But from all of us at Competitive Speed Series, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.